All right, all right. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Welcome back. We had a little hiatus. We was away for a minute. A lot of stuff going on. Grad school cooking me. Spring break traveling a little bit. So bear with us. But we back in action, man. Very, very, very excited for the next episodes. A lot's happening. Not only in the sports world, but in the pop culture world as well. So we're definitely going to talk about some of that stuff, some of the stuff we've seen, on social media, TV. It's been an eventful week, right? So I'm going to dive right into it, man. I'm going to dive right into it. Dawn Staley, shout out to her, and University of South Carolina women's basketball team winning the national championship in a pretty dominating fashion. Like UConn made a run in the third and fourth quarters, but they just got absolutely destroyed on the boards. Leah Boston and Destiny Henderson and Zai Cook and that South Carolina women's team is extremely talented, and they just blew their roof off. Never seen and granted, UConn dealt with injuries and all types of stuff during this college basketball season, but I wasn't expecting them to just get trashed on the boards like that. Which goes to my point of emphasis. One of the things I've said, while basketball has transitioned to more guard importance, I think having a solid big on the women's or the men's side is of major importance. Having a good big makes life easier. So we're just gonna kill you on the boards. A lot of times, the forwards and centers don't even have plays called for them, and they're just naturally like if you get a rebound, you don't have to give it up. You can just put it right back. So that's the easiest thing to transition to in hoops. Moving on. Talking about the men's championship a little bit. Hubert Davis led a North Carolina team. A team at one point in the year, like you saw people calling for Hubert's job. So for Hubert to even have coached this team to the national championship speaks great on his coaching career. I think, especially in your first year, I think only like 5 coaches made it to a chip in their first year. So that's extremely impressive. And hopefully there's big things to come. I don't know. I'm not off the top of my head. I don't know what their recruiting class looks like, but I know they got some guys coming back. And who knows? It's difficult to get to the Final Four. Even more difficult to go again another year. But who knows? I think the ACC is up for grabs again. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Duke moving forward now that Coach K won't be a part of that program since the 80s, for the first time since the 80s. So it'll be interesting to see what Duke basketball looks like next year. But back to the championship game. UNC opens up a 16-point lead at one point. You're thinking, wow, they're going to blow these guys out. Uncharacteristic of a Bill Self team in a championship game. Looks like they're just going to lay down, get their doors blown off, right? Wrong. They march away, chip away at this lead in the second half. Hold Caleb Love to really, really rough shooting performance in the second half, and just chip away. End of the game. I guess somebody Kansas took the bad beats, steps out of bounds. UNC has a chance to win it. A chance to send it to overtime. Caleb Love again comes up short. I thought it was a terrific game. I thought that in all actuality, it's the type of interesting basketball that we need to see that attracts viewers outside of the hoops world. So I was impressed with the men's and women's championship games. I thought they were both entertaining games. Yeah. Moving forward, also in New Orleans, they had the HBCU All-Star game. I thought it was awesome. I thought it'll be interesting to see if they can do something like that for the women. Say at an HBCU All-Star event for the fellas, but it'd be interesting if we could do something on the women's side of things. And also would have been really cool if Hubert had won the championship, because I don't think that a black coach on the men's side and a black coach on the women's side has ever won the championship in the same year. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but that would have been a first. So I was pulling for North Carolina and Hubert Davis. All right, I think it's been enough time. Moving on to the NBA, but I think it's been enough time that we can finally grade the Nets Sixers trade. I don't know if we need to discuss this, right? But James Harden is playing like Jabba the Hutt. I know his hamstring is rotisserie chicken right now. He can't move, but this dude stinks. It's the first step is like Spice Adams. He can't beat anybody off the dribble. He hasn't made a 3-point. I mean, he's shooting like 30% from the field in like the last 10 games. He turned the ball over like he's working at IHOP. I think dude really needs to get it together in order for Philly to seriously contend for the title. I mean, everyone knew when he was coming over to Philly, like James Harden is okay being a team's second or third best player. Now, in Philly, he's clearly their second best player. Tobias Harris is stealing money. But I think he forces his way into this Philly trade so that he can facilitate a little bit more, get the ball to a score, which is what he was doing in Brooklyn. But then KD got hurt. Of course, Kyrie wasn't going to get the vaccine, which, hey, listen, and that's his opinion. So James Harden's like, well, if I can't play, if I'm only playing with half a season for a few games, then I'm not going to stay here. Like, I want to win a title, and I want to win a title now. So forces his way to Philly, but Embiid is still having to score 40, 45 points a game for them to win games that they should be blowing open in a dogfight with the Pacers. And it's like, yo, I know Embiid is a lot of folks' pick for the MVP, and between right now, I think it's between him and Giannis. Shout outs to Jokic, but I don't think anybody whose team is below the fifth seed really deserves it. And when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, I saw this quote, or the actual stat, that out of the last 50 NBA MVPs, only one of those dudes was on a team lower than the 4th seed in his conference, Russell Westbrook. When he stole one of James Harden's MVPs because the triple-double, he was running people over and getting his own rebound and then throwing it out of bounds, and then next possession he was scoring dunk and yell, and he tricked y'all into thinking he's playing hard. And don't before I get started on that, I'm like, dog. Anyway, so Harden in Philly, his stats are pretty nasty, like disgusting to look at. He's averaging like, I want to say he's double-digit assists, a little bit less than 20 points, or in the 20 to 22-point range, 7 rebounds. It's just hard to watch because, like, dude, it's really horrible. And I think James Harden from the outside looking in, didn't think Tobias Harris was as awful as Tobias Harris is. Tobias Harris is terrible. Tobias, like, yo, the other night, he's like 0 for 6 from 3. I'm like, bro, you getting max money. Tobias Harris getting like $36 million. This dude crazy. He stink. And I'm like, I can't watch it. I can't watch too much of that. So, I think the Bucks coming out of the East again. I would like to be proven wrong, but I think the Bucks coming out of the East again. Maybe the Warriors get them. I don't know. Warriors or Phoenix. But I don't see Phoenix stopping Giannis again, and he's going to get his second finals MVP. That's just nasty work, man. Dude just runs people over and dunks. He's going to cruise his way to another chip because James Harden is fat and lazy. And it's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. Another point on the NBA. Do we think the Grizzlies are the real deal? Or are they, a good friend of mine compared them to that 14 Atlanta Hawks team. Was it 2015, right? Atlanta Hawks team had the number one record in the NBA. Kyle Korver, they had like 4 or 5 All-Stars. It was Kyle Korver, Millsap, Teague, somebody else was an All-Star, Horford, who stinks. The 4 All-Stars the first round, and they lost in the first round, right? Or they lost to LeBron like the second round. I don't know. So are the Grizzlies a real deal, or are they tricking us a little bit? Because you think about it, these guys are like 20-2 when Ja Morant doesn't play. They're fun to watch. They are embracing. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to Memphis, but Memphis people got that grit to them. They got that toughness to them. You know what I'm saying? They eating barbecue, all that stuff. They fooling with that swine. You know what I'm saying? They eat whole smoked pig feet and all that country stuff down there. They got the blues music. Memphis and the Grizzlies team takes that identity on them. You know what I'm saying? Pop culture likes them a little bit. You know, all the rappers like Ja Morant. Are they the real deal? You know what I'm saying? People are getting behind them because, number one, they're fun to watch. But their best players hurt, and they're still entertaining. I think they've got my pick for Defensive Player of the Year and Jaren Jackson. So it's exciting. It's exciting to watch. And before I get into my predictions for players, awards, and all that stuff, I want to talk about. I told y'all about Russell Westbrook. I told y'all he was tricking y'all. I told y'all he was fooling when he played the year in Houston, the first year outside of OKC. Now, mind you, this is a guy who, since Kevin Durant left, has never won a playoff series. When Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City to go to Golden State, Russell Westbrook hasn't won a playoff series where he played since then. Like, I think the Rockets won a series in the bubble. He didn't play. So, since the year in Houston, I told y'all, you know, I'm a fair weather fan, a James Harden fan. Wherever James Harden go, that's the team I'm a fan of. So judge me if you want. Anyway, the year in Houston, we watched this guy up close. I got league pass, bro. I watched like 60 Rockets games that year, at least. Dude runs people over, goes 100 miles an hour, run people over, throw the ball out of bounds. Not a consistent jump shooter. Needs the ball to be effective. But when he has the ball, he's taking the ball away from your best player. No team with Russell Westbrook as their top 3 player could win. I just don't see it. The way he plays, he's Giannis, but he's 6'3". What makes Giannis effective and great is that he's 7 foot. He doesn't have to be a great shooter. He's going to run you over and dunk the ball every time. Russell Westbrook can't run you over and dunk the ball at a successful rate winning games. We've seen it already. We've seen it in so many different aspects. We saw it with the Wizards, and Brad Beal played pretty good. Brad Beal, was he the leading scorer, if not the second leading scorer that year? You know what I'm saying? Harden won a scoring title with Russ, but those stats don't tell the true story because dude still has the ball. You got to get the ball out of his hand. He can't, bro. It's not winning basketball. In order to win, you got to be able to shoot at a consistent rate. You got to be able to take care of the ball. He has too many mental lapses, and he's not a good defender. He's god-awful on defense, if we're being honest. Horrible help defender. I don't understand how, as several year NBA vet. You don't understand the concept of help defense, slides, being in the right position. Now, don't get me wrong. Frank Vogel is a great defensive coach. Frank Vogel had Roy Hibbert looking like Mutombo out this joint. So while I want to blame, Vogel gonna get some of this blame. So some of the spacing, DeAndre Jordan, Dwight Howard on the floor at crazy times, having talentless Horton Tucker, Frank Vogel gonna get some of this blame too. LeBron gonna get some of this blame too because he signed off on this trade. He like, yeah, cool, bringing Russ to town. And for that roster, they got Malik Monk. I'm older than Malik Monk. Malik Monk 24 on the vet minimum. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't even get into the play-in. You telling me you can't finish as a top 10? Nah, we get it. Street Clothes been hurt all year. Braun been hurt, turned his ankle, dealing with stuff like that. But, that is nasty work to not make the playoffs. Frank Vogel need to go. Now, I seen somebody say they need to grab Ty Lue. Ty Lue not a good coach either. I don't know. It's slim pickings on high quality. I mean, Doc Rivers not a good coach. So it's a lot of guys that got a name or huge. They not really good coaches. Basketball isn't the same as it was 5-10 years ago, where you can play a lineup with 3 or 4 guys not being able to consistently shoot the ball. In order for hoops today's era, you got to have 3 or 4 guys that can shoot the ball consistently on the floor. Doc Rivers got it backwards. Like, why do you have Thibault and DeAndre Jordan in the game together? Doc Rivers be lunching. I am interested in seeing how things turn out in the rest of in the NBA as we approach the end. Right? Single digit amount of games left for most teams. It's going to be interesting. I mean, the Clippers, are we expecting Kawhi back? Paul George is back. He's slowly getting in his groove. PG don't get enough credit. I know way off Pete stunk up the playoffs a little bit. He's had a few rough ones. But in terms of consistency, in terms of raw talent, Paul George is what most people think Andrew Wiggins could be. You know what I'm saying? We think about guys that we're talking about raw talent. I've expected more from Paul George. All right, that's all I'm saying. It's just going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season turns out. Right. Another thing that crossed my mind, I meant to say this back when I was talking about the Nets Sixers trade. Ben Simmons isn't hurt. This is my conspiracy. This is my conspiracy, yo. Ben Simmons is working these folks, talking about his back. He trying to get that bread back. Yo, he had nothing, bro. He didn't get none of the money from this season from Philly. Right? They took mad bread from him because he was holding out or whatever. He trying to get some of this bread. He trying to get most all of this money back. So he done cooked up this scenario. I don't know, his back probably is tight loop. I don't know. He ain't played in however long. It might be it take a different level to get back in game shape. So I ain't saying there's nothing wrong with him. But what I'm saying is he's dragging it a bit so he can get some of this money back for the season. Right? Say something happened, the Nets lose the play in, don't make the first round or whatever. He cooking up some stuff. He hurt. His back. Yada, yada, yada. He's not going to play the whole year. Say that even if he was mentally healthy to play for Philly, that he couldn't have been able to because of his back, and he's going to get that bread back. Bro, he ain't stupid, man. Rich Paul, them guys is not dumb. And it's like $30 million. You crazy. I'm trying to get that money back. Yeah. Philly, yeah, I ain't mad at you. That's why the Nets won the trade. Even, Ben Simmons not no dummy, man. I know he was lazy as hell at LSU and didn't go to class, but he ain't stupid. You know what I'm saying? But it's a different perspective now. Kyrie can play half a season, can play the whole season now. He can play home games. They done lifted the mandates and all that stuff. The Nets ain't gonna be no walk in the park, man. But I know Ben Simmons trying to get his bread back. I know that much. All right, now I'm gonna jump into my NBA award predictions. The first note I have is that I think that basketball should be completely positionless as far as like them all NBA teams. So if we had a year where it was 4 centers cooking, they could all be first team. Because it's dead wrong for Jokic and Embiid for one of them to have to be second team. And in the NBA and in most basketball, in my mind, it's 3 positions in basketball anyway. You either a guard, a wing, or a big. It's point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, stretch forward, point forward. Yo, damn that. You either a guard, a wing, or a big. And guards and wings really can be interchangeable, in my opinion. Basketball's positions. You either a guard, a wing, or a big. I don't want to hear this point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, man. Yo, it's not 1997. 2022. Basketball's positionless. Jokic brings the ball up the floor sometimes. Embiid bring the ball up the floor sometimes. Coop, 7-1, he bring the ball up the floor sometimes. Basketball's positionless. All NBA teams need to be positionless. Put the best 5 players on them. A lot of times, them guys' contracts be having incentives if you make one of them teams, man. I don't know what Joel, I'm not a numbers guy, but if Embiid make that first team, he gonna get an incentive. If he get an MVP, he get a bonus. Reward them guys. All right. So jumping into my NBA award predictions. MVP. Going with Embiid. Shout outs to Coop and Jokic. I think there will be 2 and 3. I don't think Devin Booker should be maybe top 5. But that's what I'm going with. I think Embiid's going to take this one. Jokic just because they're not a top 6 seed. I think they're like 5 and 6 or something like that. And Coop just for a little bit of voter fatigue. I'm going into Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going with Jaren Jackson Jr. I think with the exception of those guys and Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bane, they have some killers on the wing, but Jaren Jackson Jr. holds it down in the middle. Big fella is special. Rookie of the Year, going with Cade. I think there was a lot of trash talked about him in October when basketball doesn't matter. When he was dealing with injury, November and stuff. He didn't catch his groove till December. Shout outs to Jalen Green though, but I think Cade's gonna take it. Shout out to Mobley, Giddey, and Oklahoma City. So I talked a lot of trash about this rookie class just for these guys to be really, really solid. So definitely impressed with those gentlemen. And I think the class of 2021 would definitely be something to talk about moving forward. Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year, got to go with Monty. Got to go with Monty again. Yeah. Phoenix. I didn't expect them to be a 63-win team. They're going to honestly probably win 65 games, but I didn't expect them to be far and away the best team in the NBA for the majority of the year. It caught me by surprise a little bit, so I'm gonna give it to Monty a little bit. And Sixth Man of the Year, Jack Harlow, man, Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero for sure. He plays starter minutes, but he come off the bench and gun, and I think he fits perfectly in that Miami offense. Also, a video of Eric Spoelstra yelling at Jimmy Butler, throwing the clipboard at him as jokes. Oh yeah, but yeah. So I don't know if I want to end this episode here or if I want to just split it up, right? So I told y'all I was going to start talking about different topics. I was going to jump into like the pop culture side of things, relationships, real life stuff. So I'm going to jump right into it. Give me like 2 seconds to pull up. I got a second set of notes. So I'm going to let this jump play while I jump into the rest of my notes.